I'm gonna hit the button.
Our foundation was trained to accept whatever follows, dehumanized and sensitive, scrutinized the way we live for you and I. Enemy shook my hand. I can promise you I'll meet you in the land where no equal is your equal. Never say I ain't told you. Nah. In the land where hurt people hurt more people. Fuck calling it culture. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you to the Greatest Show Podcast. I'm your host, Lee.
What else?
AKA Southside Lee on IG.
What else?
And I'm joined by my partner in pod.
Yes! Earlington Agustas the Great.
AKA
Juice Man.
AKA
Fuck your couch.
AKA
And we are
3ThePodWay. Chumps.
Your success took a shot. What are you gonna do now? How are you gonna kill it? You gonna become unsuccessful?
You goddamn right. Let's give it up for him.
Walk,
Yo, brethren, we there, Gully General. The bedroom boy.
Let's give it up for him.
Cecily boy.
And introducing in the right corner, hailing from the hood, Compton.
Muck, yeah, that's me.
Compton's own.
Let's give it up for him.
Let's get it.
It's something special.
You cut the other, just gonna let it run a little bit. No. I guess that's culture.
Listen, man,
that's culture.
Listen, man, we got a lot to get into, man. So let's get right to it.
Press record. That's good.
So imagine walking into your home. Let's set the scene. Let's say it's 7 p.m. Right? So the sun is set.
Okay.
You're coming home from, let's say, your local gas station, right? And you're looking to come home and kind of wind down for the
Kick your
evening.
feet up on your couch.
Kick your feet up on your couch, if you will.
Watch the news,
Like,
Wheel of Fortune or
get your
something.
little drink
Hey,
or something.
and we talking about the good stuff from like Bob's, right?
Quarter brick, half a brick. Oh, brick.
No disrespect to Bob's, by the way. So you come in and as you see your TV's on, you're like, man, I don't remember leaving that TV on.
And you probably blown because you probably left it on all day.
You might have left it on all day.
If you was in a black household, your mom would tear you up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she would
right?
tear you up.
So your next thing is to like, well, wait a minute. The refrigerator's open.
Oh, definitely ain't leaving the fridge open.
Definitely didn't leave the refrigerator open.
She on your ass. Then.
So now you're a little
You got some
cautious.
serious problems.
So now maybe your sixth sense kicks in. Like, I don't remember doing all of this collectively, right? So now I need to investigate. So I'm making my way around the house. I turn the corner to the living room. I see a figure sitting on the couch.
Who could it be?
Who could it be?
Hey,
I'm the only male. I'm the only male that lives in this house.
are you?
So you thought?
Are you?
Him downstairs.
So imagine you approach this figure.
Y'all are killing me. You're killing me.
The
Smoke.
figure doesn't move, but he's clearly engaged in whatever show he's chosen on this TV. Right?
What you think you watching?
It's 7 o'clock. You watching Wheel of Fortune.
Watching Wheel of Fortune. Okay, we'll go with that. We'll go Wheel of Fortune.
Or Naked and Afraid.
That's
That ain't a good one?
That's possible.
Yeah.
You can't hear it, but there's claps going on.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
possible.
So,
It's interesting.
Accuracy.
Things people
so now you get close enough to make this figure out.
Yeah.
This man is sitting on your couch, naked, drinking juice.
Ass naked. Let's give it up for him.
do. When you say naked, you be like
balls
naked.
So from the South, we would call it
Bucky ball, right?
buck naked.
Oh, buck.
Buck booty.
Buck.
Damn.
So he's sitting on your couch, bucket booty naked.
So he ain't put a
Drinking
towel
juice
down even?
and he watching Naked and Afraid. This man's
You think
out
he
of
took a
control.
shower? You think he took a shower in your shower?
Oh my
Nah.
God, the smell.
So the question is,
Are there eggs in the kitchen?
So the question is,
Baby boy style.
Like Melvin?
so the question
This
is,
is my house too.
so the question is that now I've framed it up. Now, what is your next step?
Would you
I mean, do you like ask him his name?
nah,
I mean, like, how'd you get here?
clearly
Uber?
the landlord gave you a universal key and you're in the wrong apartment.
You're in the wrong apartment.
Yeah, he just happened to have your same couch. TV, and he drinks the same juice that you like to drink.
So
but you're in the wrong place.
So now the real
Absolutely.
question is, do you engage?
How? How do
else-
you engage?
Well, how else would you get someone that's not supposed to be in your house out of your house?
Can't, why don't you just
Ask,
go for it?
Ask
Just
him
grab it.
politely.
Huh?
Grab it.
Sir.
Take y'all both out of here.
Hey,
I
sir,
bet he screamed in.
He said, just go at
Just
it.
grab it.
Just grab it.
what are you
So-
grabbing?
Put some,
So-
put some gloves on.
Nah,
That's a
I
deadly
can't
weapon.
say it.
that's his house.
So let me
his couch.
give you the actual story. So Mr. James Wooten of Nashville, Tennessee,
How fitting.
You pronounced it wrong.
James the Woods.
of Nashville, Tennessee, was actually caught inside of a person's home, sitting on their couch naked, drinking juice. Subsequently, the authorities were called, and the suspect was apprehended. And again, I have questions, right? Because
As you should.
we stated he was naked,
As you should.
and they said he was arrested.
Bucky-ball.
There's a gap there, right? So how was he apprehended? What's the story there?
I just
right?
think
We
we need
need
to
to
put
register that
respect on
police
his
report.
name and hit Woody D.
Yeah.
I think that's what we should refer to him as, not suspect, but Woody D.
So he was arrested and charged with public indecency.
What would you do?
Not breaking and entering?
Not breaking and entering. He was charged with public indecency.
Wait, but how did
They're
you in
charged for
my
breaking and
house?
entering.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's
Something else
actually-
probably went down.
That's probably their Uncle Hoti, though.
There might be more to the
Might be
story.
more
Yeah,
to
I
it.
mean,
More
if you-
to it. That's true.
Maybe
That's true.
round and found out.
Question, was the...
Yikes.
You know, I mean,
Sir?
But you had mentioned that he had a nickname. What'd you say his
Woody
nickname
D.
is?
Woody D.
Oh, I
Woody
thought
D
you
from
said- I thought
Tennessee.
you said. Let's give it
Sir.
up for that.
Like bars.
Yeah, grab your meat and a couch cushion and go ahead, go on. Get
You can take the whole
Hold on,
couch.
that's what you would. Oh,
Yeah, I just be like, and let me hook you up. I'll get you some ball shorts.
Yeah, but what if
Yeah,
you don't
got
want to
him.
go though?
Then he cool. He got his spot. I was looking to move anyway.
I was trying to move anyway. That jump been on the market good anyway.
Market value
ain't
is
the
up
neighborhood
right now.
for me.
I just sell it out.
right.
It's cool.
That
All
takes
right.
Broman from the fifth floor to
Wow.
a whole nother level.
Oh man.
That's outrageous.
So as the events of the week, as luck would have it, the events of the week kind of took us down a weird path. Depending upon what you're into and what you're aware of, and how you're affected by things that are going around you.
Absolutely.
Right? Because as some of us, I feel like could agree on, things that happen within culture have some level of effect outside of just, the immediate time frame or the people that you know, right?
Could you argue almost too much?
You know what? Maybe this day and age you could argue that too much, right? Potentially too much, I should say. So one thing that obviously is sticking out this week, the elephant in the room, right? Kevin Samuels, unfortunately met his demise this past week.
Yeah.
God bless his soul.
So from a person passing away perspective, that is obviously a sad event.
For sure.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
the conversation that we're going to have is more centered around the reaction to his death. I won't lead the witness. What are your thoughts as far as, well, let me ask you, were y'all remotely affected by hearing the fact that he passed away? Like, was it shocking?
Nah.
I'll leave the
I
floor.
was shocked. Nah.
I was
weren't?
surprised that he died. I mean,
Yeah.
he didn't appear like an unhealthy individual, especially the way he went at unhealthy people. So
Right.
you would assume that he took care of himself. What they say, if you live in a glass house, those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones or whatever the case
Right.
is. So,
Right.
and his stance was so strong that you would assume he had all his ducks in a row, to include his personal health.
Okay. Okay.
I thought, and we still don't know. I don't think we know the cause of death, right?
I believe
think it came out.
it's not official,
cardiac
but
arrest.
cardiac arrest
Yeah,
is kind of
but,
what's been floating out
which
there.
is like, that could be, obviously, everybody
Right.
always thinks negatively, so it could be associated with drugs of some sort.
Ooh.
It could be
Okay.
Blue pill.
Yeah, just whatever he was taking, his body couldn't handle it.
Right.
So it's a bunch of options for that.
Well, I'll tell you. My initial thought was that I didn't realize, because again, I wouldn't consider myself remotely a fan, but I also didn't hate the man. I just didn't care as far as like what he was presenting, right? What his platform was. I was aware of, because I mean, socially, how could you not be aware of what he was doing? But I didn't realize how obviously popular, and popular can go negatively as well.
For sure,
right?
yeah.
How popular he actually was, because the internet just about stopped to try to figure out if this was a real thing.
Yeah.
And his death has been reported on like major news outlets.
Yeah.
Sure.
So this isn't as much as we want to minimize it, he made a mark. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
he made an impression.
I mean, we're in the age of
impression.
social media,
Yeah.
so
Especially
Right.
we're in the age of social media.
especially for
So
social media,
someone
so-
like that is
he's
surrounded by controversy.
almost
So
a shock jock in a sense, right? Or
So-
obviously not a jockey, but you know what I mean. Like,
So I think we all pretty much knew or had a pretty good idea or feeling what we felt like the response to this was going to be.
yeah,
yes,
And like clockwork, it has absolutely been every bit of what we thought it was going to be.
right.
Right. So what have you seen?
I just seen people, it's like they don't care. All right, well, you said all these disrespectful things to this amount of people, and you made these people feel a certain type of way. So now you dead. It's not really no R.I.P. It's just
it's
all right.
sort of
Right.
Deuces.
You got what you got.
It's celebratory for sure. I feel like a lot of women in particular are celebrating that he's not here no more. To spread his rhetoric.
So let's ask the tough questions, right? Is that fair? So someone has passed away, and he had a platform in which, again, right, wrong, or indifferent, he had a very strong opinion about, most notably, black women, right?
Yeah.
Right,
And his approach was very direct and rude,
right,
right? And demeaning, right?
Right.
We'll call it what it is,
Yeah.
right? So all that being said, does that still create the space for you to be hated and vilified in your death?
Absolutely.
It does.
I mean,
Okay.
just like you said, he had an opinion. People have an opinion about him now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. You had this opinion and this negative opinion, or you had these words to say about this group of people. So now, guess what? This group of people has some negative things to say about you. I mean, you can't, like you said earlier, you can't live in a glass house and you throwing rocks.
Because the thing is, your death doesn't absolve you of all the stuff that you did.
Absolutely
before you
right.
died.
If you're a bad person on Earth, and then you're a bad person when you
After.
die. However, I don't know if he was a good or bad person, right?
Right.
But whatever your perception of that person is,
But I think, but also
it
too,
shouldn't change just because they died.
with social media, I think that the sketchy thing, not sketchy thing, but the tricky part about social media, like it has no tact. Like it's no respect the dead, or it's whatever you say.
Yeah.
It's out there, right? Like,
Right.
God forbid, he passed away, God rest his soul. But at the end of the day, too, still it was like social media is all about poking at the bear, right? Poking at you.
Sure.
Like it's not always unless he was someone who was glorified and put on a pedestal. It's different. That you want to see the RIPs and oh my gosh, we miss you. But because his platform was one, he was attacking probably the most, I guess, the demographic that uses social media the most, I would say, or that's across the board, like in the hands of everything social media, you attacking them. So it's just like you almost set yourself up.
So let's ask this: at what point, or is there a point where you separate the character from the man himself?
Yeah, it's time.
Right.
Like time absolves all that.
Yeah.
It hasn't been enough time.
It hasn't been enough time.
Right.
But even within what he was doing, was the Kevin Samuels that presented on social media really Kevin Samuels? Or did Kevin Samuels stumble upon a gimmick and a niche that worked, and he leveraged it to try to obviously further his his professional and financial standing. Right.
I mean, the question would then be like, does he care or did he care? He didn't give me the impression that he did care. Mm-hmm. So with that, right, like I think those closest to him knew his true intentions or who he was, and they benefited or are benefiting from whatever he set up financially, right? So maybe it's that's just how they like. Well, we know the real Kevin, and it's cool. We'll let the public perception be that.
I just think that we have to be very careful about saying things like, well, that was his karma that caught up with him. Because again, this public judge, jury, executioner thing that we've seemed to have evolved into because of the social media platforms, which allows any and everybody, obviously we're sitting here doing
to
this,
include us,
allows any and everybody to have a voice and have an opinion, right?
Voice and a voice set.
Again, the power of the tongue is very, very strong if you believe that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so I go back to a moment when Chadwick Boseman was steadily declining from a health standpoint,
right?
And publicly, he was obviously showing the loss of weight, etc., becoming frail, etc.
Right.
What was the commentary then, right, when people were watching this?
They were making jokes about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Making jokes about it, etc., saying that he was potentially on, something like that, only to find out this man was actually, battling, etc.
He was blessing y'all.
Right. So going back to and drawing a loose correlation.
I was gonna say that's kind of
no, but I'm drawing a loose correlation. So after his passing, you ultimately you hear more about him, right?
Right.
So apparently he had like stage 3 cancer or something when he was like 20 years old. Was able to.
You talk about Kevin Simmons.
Yeah. Now I'm going back to Kevin Simmons. He was able to beat that. And from what I understand, his platform actually started. And again, I didn't do a lot of research on it, but apparently his platform started in a more positive vein, and it just wasn't gaining traction. And then he started making those type of direct overtures about women and high value this and high value that, and it caught on.
So he became a caricature of himself.
Exactly. Right.
I mean, but does that again, right? Like,
and that's the
then
question.
The question lies, right? Like, okay, this is what you presented to us. Does that make it okay?
I think
you're not true to yourself.
Right.
But in anything that you do for the public in the sense of entertainment or whatnot, like it's levels to it, right? So like to your point, you said in time, who knows what he would have been 2 years from now? Like you said, he could have grew into something else and like, hey, I was bashing on these women, but look, now I'm switching it now to helping. Not saying they would have been received or whatever the case is, but to your point, you said that he was doing something and he didn't get no traction. No one really knew who he was. Right. So he flipped the script and became a known figure on social media.
Right.
So I think like to that point, who knows what he was going to eventually do with the time or the presence or the fame that he was going to gain.
Right.
So who knows? And like you said, I mean, you can't tell or you can't put, a period on that now because he's not here. So at this point now, just let sleeping dogs lie.
So would you all agree that behind every joke is a little bit of truth? Because I believe that.
For sure.
All right. So I was, again, part of this whole conversation, right?
Yeah.
Came across this. Maury Povich is sitting down with his wife, Connie Chung, enjoying that $100 million in earnings from showcasing black women on national TV for 30 years as a demographic who engages in serial, unprotected sex and has no idea whom the father to her child is. But Kevin Samuels was the problem.
That's hard. I like that.
So as you can see, right, it's loose.
Yeah.
All right.
No, that's hard.
Nah, that's a straight jab right there.
I get it.
That's a straight jab
But
right to the chin.
it does cause you to think, right?
Right,
Again, how we kind of pick and choose who to vilify and demonize, right? And to what extent we're willing to go, right?
The sad truth about that statement right there is that we as a collective, in the sense of our community, we are quick to bash people that look like us.
Why do you think that is?
Because it's easy. I feel like they feel more comfortable coming at somebody who they feel like they can relate to, or they know who they are. You like, there's no questions about, oh, you're an African American. I know you're from the city or you're from the hood or whatever. I can talk to you. I can bash you about something, and I'm okay with it. As opposed to somebody who's not from where you're from, and they're so many miles away from you, like in the sense of stature or status, you can't really touch them, right?
Okay.
And then you can't exactly the proximity, like you can't really say too much. So because he's on there, he's a black man, he's talking about black women. All right, cool. I'm gonna bash you about that.
I think it's also how you position it, right? Like good or bad, right? Kevin Samuels came off very abrasive, in your face, right? No one, whether it's the truth or not, people don't want to hear it that way,
exactly.
right? If we're using a Maury comparison, it's loose, but he presented it. It was presented well, right? It was behind a network. I say that to say he came off caring, right?
Considering,
concerned. He was there to help.
right.
You know what I mean? And
free DNA test.
More, he offered something.
Come
free,
on back.
Right.
Come on.
We gotta get this. We gotta get this taken care of.
The setup was more welcoming, if you will, right? Versus like I'm calling in his show,
right?
And I leave feeling bashed, right? Like at least with Maury, I may not know who the father is, but I leave with a friend. It almost feels like.
I would like to say those cameramen. I would definitely like to know what their salary is, but I digress.
You probably also want to know their workout
regimen.
I do, man.
Like, the ability to keep up and with a camera
and running adjacent.
That's probably the weight of a toddler.
And they
back
be
to the green room.
girls be sprinting.
And the only people who can keep up with a black woman is obviously a black man. So Maury was hiring a lot. He was employing black people. All the rest, like former black athletes and track stars were
As
for president,
hired.
I just don't understand when they get to the end and then it's like a wall and they just fall and the camera's just like, I got you.
Now I will say this, and I'm gonna try to tie a bow on this.
Okay.
So culturally, right? Would y'all agree? Because I thought about this too.
Okay.
Where you stand financially can buy you real estate as far as what you can say and how you can say it.
Yes.
Kevin Samuels was early in his projection. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, he was up 50 M's saying the same thing.
Yeah, you present better, right? You present more knowledge.
Well, I'm asking, right? I think we've seen over time that's a true thing. Yeah. Depending upon where you sit financially and socially.
Yeah, socially too.
It buys you real estate to be able to say these type of things.
For sure.
Okay.
Because he's not the first person. He's not the first person to say the stuff that he was saying. But the reaction is almost as though he was the sole culprit, for the things he was saying. And also, again, from my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know a lot about it.
Right.
People logged in and signed up to be a part of his conversation. He wasn't.
And to watch.
Yeah. In what way was he seeking people out to have these? And then, from what I understand, you have to literally sit there and let him
dissect
verbally break you down, right? You have to sit there and let this happen.
Yeah, you
right?
definitely signed up for that.
Yeah, so I mean, let's take all this with a grain of salt. I guess ultimately I'm saying, like, I think there should be a higher degree of sensitivity for someone passing away, regardless of what someone said per se. But again, that's context. Because you can say the right wrong thing and it's over for you.
I don't know. Like, yeah, I hear you. It's case by case, right? Because I mean, no one is ever going to say anything good about, or shouldn't say anything good about, like someone who's, a mass murderer or something like that. But obviously he doesn't fall into that category. But
see, the comments would lead you to believe that.
I should feel like that while you did. Like,
fair enough. Right.
I just don't see that. My views
fake,
have to change
fake.
because you
now
died.
It's this and that.
So what we say
same
all
energy.
So what we say exactly. So what we say all the time is, you don't get to gauge the response.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You don't ever get to measure or gauge the response. Absolutely. When you do something, you don't get to gauge the response. However someone chooses to take that and respond, they're well within their right to do so. And unfortunately, he kind of set the stage for this to happen. And like I say, it's kind of unfortunate, but to your point, same energy, right?
I will say this, like one last comment. I think as we move further and further away from his time on Earth, you'll see what impact he made on people, right?
Meaning, if there's another,
or if there's another Kevin Samuels, or if like I think we've seen it already. It's been proven that his impact was mostly negative because there's not a lot of public outcry to protect him, right? That's always how how you can tell if somebody was good or bad, right? Because there's always two sides to a person, right? But I don't think the outcry has been overwhelmingly supportive. It's been more of like they just been trying to shit on dudes, have been shitting on dudes. So
we keep trying to wrap this up, but there's more
how he lived.
Wow. Every time we try to wrap this up, there's one more thing. So the one more thing being, but he generated the conversation
for sure.
Right, there was a lot of conversation around him, and it grew into you're at work talking about it, you're at home talking about it, and not him. You're talking about what he's talking about. And it just kind of opened up conversation.
I mean, drama sells. Just like with TV shows and all them crazy, series and stuff on
For
TV.
sure.
Drama sells. Drama attracts.
Right.
And just like you said, he wasn't getting nobody at first when he was talking positive. Okay, so let me be negative to these people.
That's what I'm
and
about
now
to start
everybody
doing.
wants to pitch in. Everybody wants to see me be negative. Everybody
sure.
wants to see me tear this person down.
The question
that's a problem as a whole.
But the question that people have that obviously are responding negatively are, why'd you choose us?
Yeah,
like I said, it's an easy target.
Yeah. Right.
It's
well,
easy.
I'm just saying, right? And why'd you choose us? That's
the most unprotected.
And I think as time goes on, we'll
we'll
move.
No, say that.
I wasn't gonna finish it.
No, go ahead.
I don't, because I don't know how to quote it exactly.
But just what you said.
The most unprotected person is a black woman.
Oh, I like that. Protect black women. I protect black women.
I'm just saying, like, okay, easy demographic. Just like when we talk about Maury. Okay, easy.
Easy.
I'm pretty sure they got a check or something like that. But this is an easy target for me to go after, and it's constantly us. Constantly. Why do we got to be the topic in the butt of your joke?
So you are a black woman. They've never seen you, but you just confirmed that you're
absolutely
okay.
Darquavius. I haven't told y'all what he is yet, but he's mixed.
So another big story that came out this week was almost seemingly out of nowhere. Young Thug.
That
wasn't out of nowhere.
It felt like it.
It did.
That joint was stirring for like the last 6 7. We just heard about it, but this joint been stirring. Rico,
no. I'm talking about as far as us knowing about it.
As
far as us knowing
Rico
about it.
don't start.
They knew
So 2 days
Young
prior
Thug,
to that joint drop.
Young Thug and Gunna have been arrested, or I should say indicted and charged in a RICO case.
Yes.
Right. So we're gonna try to slow walk this because there's a lot of things that I just didn't know from a technical standpoint. So when you're flooded with information, obviously when somebody's as polarizing as Young Thug is, this is gonna happen. And so I just wanted to understand the technical aspects of what's going on. So what is a RICO?
So RICO is the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act. It was passed in 1970, and it basically seeks to strengthen the legal tools and evidence gathering by establishing new penal prohibitions and providing enhanced sanctions and new remedies for dealing with the unlawful activities of those engaged in organized crime.
So let's keep in mind, let's set the stage. So RICO, back in what was the year? 1970. So this is around mafia times.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I was about to say.
If anyone
they just want to shut
remembers-
down gangs, essentially.
There you go, right? Because these Italian crime syndicates had their hands in everything.
Right.
But the thing was, the main guy was never overtly involved, right?
No.
You were never going to
Calling
catch
the
Jimmy
shots.
Hoffa doing anything,
Right.
But so they had to find another way to, in essence, correlate that individual
And bring the
with
whole
the
group down.
alleged, and let's always keep that going, the alleged crimes,
Right.
right? So now they create RICO, but now going back to Thug and Gunna, and more importantly, YSL, right? Because they're looking at YSL, from what I understand, as a crime syndicate,
gang,
right? As a gang, right? So what are some of the charges that they levied against them?
Just a few of the charges are gambling, murder, kidnapping, extortion, counterfeiting, theft, embezzlement, fraud, obstruction of justice, and slavery.
That's the first time I heard that one. Slavery?
Damn.
Slavery's involved in that?
Yeah, it's on there.
Okay.
They
So
going to jail.
So I want you to think about this, right? Think about those charges. From what I understand, the total number is 56.
Yeah,
56.
charges.
And there's a total of 28 people involved.
And is that in addition to Thug and
That's included.
Oh, they're included.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so Young Thug, Gunna, and 28 others. Right?
Right,
Now
right,
I want y'all to think about the range of charges.
Whew.
We heard gambling and murder
right,
in the same charge list. Right? And then you know, at the end, I don't know if it was in order, but then we hear slavery pop up in there.
Right.
So it sounds like they're throwing the entire dictionary at these gentlemen.
Every crime available.
And you're just looking for something to stick.
Yeah.
That's the whole
Right.
point. That's the whole point of RICO. Because the thing is that about RICO, like you going back to the 70s and like you talking about mafia times, like you talking about the Mickey Cohens and all those guys who were like the big time mafia bosses. Obviously, they the ones, you know, passing the bills, like saying, "Hey, I need you to do this," but he's not pulling the trigger.
Right.
He's not driving the truck. So obviously, like how do you get the man up top? You got to create all these other situations that can entail him in some form or fashion to say, "Oh, he signed off on something."
Right.
So that's all what it is. Is RICO's just trying to get a totality of, like you said, charges to find one or two that can stick to the head person up top.
So whoever committed a crime within that organization,
Exactly,
it's applicable to everybody.
Because once you put a name to something, once you put a name to something, or like a LOC, like or anything
So
like that,
the stuff you did, we going down on the RICO for that. The Voice.
Oh, I thought.
How about when we say the views and actions of the Voice are not those of 3ThePodWay? I'm
how
snitching.
do you flip that on us?
You a snitch?
I'm not going to jail for y'all.
Every episode has been
Are you
the
kidding?
views of Earlington Agustas, not the views
What?
of 3ThePodWay. It's
So
always
wait,
been
hold
that.
on.
I ain't
Hold
holding
on.
nobody's pocket, dog. I am telling on
You think
everybody.
you would be holding pockets?
I'm just saying, you never know. I've seen more surprising things happen.
Hey, sound
We
like
just
he
talked
signed
about,
up for it.
We just talked about a dude
Did
on
nobody
somebody
say
else's
nothing about
couch.
that? He just
Not
he
at
just
all.
brought
With his
his, what was
nuts
the
out.
word we used? Zesty.
We just talked
Zesty?
about. We just talked about a man on another man's couch with his nuts out, drinking juice. If that could happen, I could accidentally hold somebody's pocket.
Accidentally.
Wait. So would you
I ain't
fight
gonna
though?
go in thinking I'm a whole pocket.
Wait, hold on. But like, would you fight though?
Yeah, but if he trashed me, he got me. He I gotta hold his pocket now.
So like, do you think like you would wear like your shirts like half at that point? Like, I'm
The little Zeke joint?
I'm just asking though. Like, you know, like we're
with my
setting
midriff
up.
out.
Hey,
Yeah,
dog,
like
you got
because
tied in
like
the bow
at
in the
that
front.
point, can you go back? Like, what do you say when you get home?
Nah, I can't. Yeah, I can't have my midi out. Nah, you right. All right, I just gotta die then, huh?
No,
For
I ain't
him.
say you gotta die, but like, what's the dude that ran away in life? You know, like, can you go
He
back?
said run around your life.
What do you know in life? What do you remember? He was like,
you
my
talking
mama,
about the- you talking about
my
the
mama
movie?
can't see me
Yeah.
like this. And he had
Come on, jangling.
Nah.
All right,
like-
so let me try to reel this back in. So when I hear RICO, right, and what the Webster's definition of it is, I think,
Is that Webster or Wikipedia's?
well, both, right? How does the KKK and organizations like that? How do they not fall under these same laws? And you know, how are these not applicable to them as well?
We touched on it in the previous episode, but when you control the Webster's definition of what a RICO is, you get to, you know, also control who falls under that category, right? And I think, you know,
Or
those
you can be
who are
a willing participant.
creating the charges
Right.
are in control and potentially you know, have some affiliation with those.
No, but
with
you
those
go back
groups.
and you talking about the triple Ks, man. They from their inception have been a part of major government
the early
like,
1900s.
like stature. So like if you're gonna bat with them, you're gonna go to bat with the government.
Yeah.
Like literally. So it's like
I mean, obviously,
can,
yeah,
but
that makes sense. I see
that's
where
a
you're going,
long story with it.
but yeah, that shit ain't happening. That was cute though.
And see, that's sad to say, right? Because again,
Sad reality.
So this kind of goes into again, not directly tying it to Kevin Samuels, but as far as like the response and the reaction.
Right.
Because what you're seeing is that there's two different types of reaction to this actual case and these individuals, right?
Right.
You have some people saying that they're getting what they deserve.
Right.
They should go to jail. They should go under the jail, blah, blah, blah.
For sure.
But then you have another set that is saying like, well, no, free the guys, right? Like,
well,
again, showing the support and showing, again, the support. We'll leave it as support.
The question becomes, is that culture, though, again? Right, I think that's a common theme of what we've been talking about today, right? The whole free the guys thing, right? Because they may not necessarily, like, from one person's perspective, deserve that, right?
Right.
So how do you approach that?
Well, so what we really get into to that point, what we get into is the duality of man, right? So some people just know, it depends on like what type of fan you are and like what type of like what type of insight you have into who the person is. So they paint a picture, obviously the DA, which that was an interesting press conference, by the way. These DAs have become, in essence, just like the civil rights lawyer, Benjamin Crump. Like they are becoming like low key celebrities, and like it seems as though these are like productions. I don't know if that's intentional.
Absolutely.
So it is intentional.
Absolutely.
Okay, because to me, I'm viewing it almost as a production. So walk me through that.
I think what that does is that sways public perception of whomever these people. I think of rappers in general, right? And that sets the stage. Like, I think they're playing a long game, right? This is their career. They're gonna make a career off of this.
This is a career case,
right?
Okay.
So what that does is that sets the stage for, this is the DA who took down that other rapper. So when Big Bloodshot comes up next and he talks about his group and who he took out,
right?
That's another case that they'll have. It's a constant chain that they're gonna, they'll keep having these type of cases. What we saw, Casanova just went down on this.
Rollo. Yeah, Rollo.
Bobby Shmurda and those guys, like Tekashi and those guys, like, you know what I'm saying? So like,
what?
They all was in like
they try to get
they was all like
Tekashi,
he was and to be clear, right, with this 28 charges or 56 charges, right? Like somebody was tattling. You know what I mean? Like there are people who
know
tattle.
All of that.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Right.
So we just know Tekashi as the tattler, but I don't know the other guy who was the leader of their, but he went down. He's in jail. You know what I'm saying? So they're just, it's a long line of these type of events, and they're just building their portfolio off of this.
Like RICO is just to go back to that. Like RICO is just, like you said, a way to dismantle things that they don't have the answers to, right? Especially
absolutely
rapping, and it glorifies. Call a spade a spade. It's glorifying drugs, killing, sex, all that stuff. So it's glorifying all these things, and then.
But that's not new to rap.
But how do you fight the popularity?
That's not new to rap. I mean, and that's not new. That's not new to a lot of different things, because there's a lot of different genres that talk about violence and talk about things like that. That's not a new thing.
But when the body's starting adding up, then you starting to get the traction on it. So they're going to look into you a lot more than whoever else is talking about the similar situation. And
to answer your production question, right? Like, how do you combat a dope ass beat by a producer? You combat that with a dope ass DA interview that everybody watches and you remember and you talk about it again. You know what I'm saying? Because
I'm hearing people quote some of the things that she said,
right? Just as if it was a Young Thug track,
right?
It's the same thing,
like
right?
Primarily the let's not get sexy comment
about Jack Harlow.
Yeah, so Jack Harlow somehow or another got brought up in the conversation, and her response was, "Well, let's not get sexy. Let's focus on basically the task at hand."
And that was the hardest 16 she's ever written.
Yeah, because like she's associated with that phrase now, right? Right. Okay.
So when that next, like I said, case comes up, they're gonna go to, who got the best bars? She got the best bars.
But what I was
real talk.
What I was leading up to was, now while you may have all these different things that are associated with Young Thug and Gunna, right?
Right, right.
From the images they portray or whatever you may think about them. These are also individuals who they are now being held in Fulton County Jail, right?
Right.
Just last year, 1 year ago, they bailed 30 individuals out of that exact same jail. They're known for giving money away to the less fortunate.
Right.
Toy giveaways, etc. Right? They're also building low income housing, right? So again, going into the duality of man, right? While some people may have an opinion, again, going back to it, man, they have done some right in this world, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So again, it creates a
court
court of public opinion situation.
Yeah, that's tough
for
because
sure.
again, right? It's always that the duality of man. You mentioned that it's like, well, where do you fall on their acts, right? Some being, just acts in general, right? Like we perceive some acts as good, we perceive some acts as bad, right? Like me giving him money, that's a good act. I took it from you. It's still an act, right? But he'll perceive it as good. You'll perceve it as bad, obviously.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
Depending
Like, so
upon-
I mean, I guess I would think about
I
like,
still gotta get
when
some
does that stuff stop?
When you say stuff, what stuff?
The alleged acts, like when does it stop? So
Are we talking about as Thug being? Is that go ahead?
You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like, he's doing all these amazing things for the community.
Right.
He's looking out, right? But
he's also killing somebody on the
like when does that side allegedly? When does that stuff stop? Like at what point does it? You know what I'm saying?
So we opened up with the last phrase of Kendrick's verse, fuck calling it culture, right? Within our culture, I think some of us, if not, well, let's talk about what we're talking about. Within the culture we're talking about, I don't want to tap dance around this. Within the culture we're talking
Hip-hop.
about, once you create or establish an identity,
yes,
you have to
you
see
have
it
to
through.
be that. You gotta be.
We don't necessarily. We're not agile and flexible to say we allow you to grow. I say this all the time when I'm having my interpersonal conversations. Right, Jay almost got lucky that hip hop allowed him to transition out of who he was because he did it at a time where it was allowable. Right. Yeah. Plus, he had the Beyonce bridge to allow him to transition. But if this would have, if Jay would have kind of been bubbling now,
right,
I would find it hard to believe that the culture would let him evolve the way that he has. And so what's happening with these guys is, as you've seen traditionally in the music now, spinning, you have to be directly correlated with the stuff you talking about, or you just not thorough enough.
Yeah, your pride's in the way, your street cred, your image, all those things.
But I mean, I guess that goes back to
ego.
your point about the Pusha T album, right? And the comments about he's this old rapping about this.
Right.
Is he still doing that, or is it just something he's rapping
So
about
the
that?
so the difference-
Allegedly.
So the difference being when Push is narrating this, right? This is like almost third person.
Okay.
He's almost painting the picture of what someone else is doing.
Okay. Right.
Whereas now, and going back to how they're now looking to use lyrics against individuals, they are saying that these individuals are speaking from first person point of view.
Right.
Okay.
I'm doing,
Not telling
I
the story.
did, we did. You know what I'm saying? Not creating the gray area that used to exist when telling stories like that.
Okay.
That's because like now, quote unquote, stories that are being told are dropping details of such said incidents that hasn't been released.
That's true.
Like
To
for
the
example,
public.
YNW Melly is in jail for potentially on trial for allegedly murdering his friend.
Right.
But he had a song called "Murder on My Mind," and they used the lyrics from "Murder on My Mind" against him because of how descriptive it was. And that was another part of the question too. So now this whole social media game that people tend to play, I have to show it in order to make you believe it.
Right.
I got to show you that. I got to tell you, if I have the Draco, it's not good enough just to let you know that I got
that thing bland.
You got it. Well, you got to see it, right?
Yeah.
And people go into like the pictures and different things like that. So where does the line between entertainment and real life really exist?
Right.
I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I think that line gets blurred, especially if I'm assuming for some of these guys, they're in their hometown is still around some of the people that they grew up with, that they're affiliated with. So it's hard to completely remove yourself from that. I've heard a lot of artists say things like, "Oh, I had to move completely away from my city and get away from the guys." Again, I don't know all the particulars, but I know Thug's from Atlanta. He in Atlanta. That ain't too far away. He may still be there so he can have his finger on the pulse of what's going on. So
right,
potentially that's
so
what's
catchy.
going on.
But that just goes back to even the stuff with Dro. Like, he got dropped in his hometown. So it's just like, the thing is, to your point, like, I feel like the nostalgia of street cred keeps them around, of being able to, I don't even know to quote it, but like from Paid in Full, when Cam at the end of the joint said, "I'm not even gonna snitch nobody down here. They gonna still love me when I'm come back. Like, they gonna still love me in these streets." That nostalgia of being that guy is so endearing to them. Is like it's like trying to get the next fix. Like, you can't shake it.
Right.
So I think to that point, and like even just hearing about other rappers, some of they have to move away to get away from that element. Like Boosie, I don't think Boosie lives in where he's from. Like, I think he has a house in other. Right. So in order for you to really excommunicate yourself from those types of situations, you really have to be okay with being talked about or being looked at as
like I said, that's tough to do because your whole identity is built off of this one thing.
But you have to make the decision
not
as a
anymore,
person.
though, right? Like, after you make, Thug is.
Now, mind you, I'm not trying to minimize what anybody in here is saying, but we're talking about a full-fledged millionaire now. Right. Your place, right? Again, is built on this image and this foundation. To think that it's so easy to just turn all that off. Right. I can't. He
about that. He from there.
I can't say that
you
because
can't let nobody
and again, like they said, you're still there.
Right.
You're still moving around Atlanta, the place you came up in. Now, I'm making it specific. This could be place X. Yeah. You're still in the same place that you came up in. You can't just, and mind you still got people out there that you might have rubbed the wrong way coming up. You don't get to turn that off because now you can easily go from the bull to the target easy. Right? By turning all that off. And again, like I say, I know it sounds easy, right? But these are real things. And that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of these people that comment on this stuff. So I'll put it like this. When you're out and about and you're like, moving around the street, and things like that, you come across people. Anybody who's been around it knows there's nothing cool about it. Not a thing cool about it. It's anxiety. It's worrying, right? It's always second guessing, right? You don't you have low levels of trust with people. There's nothing cool about it, right? It's nothing to be glorified. So when you see people moving, right, and they're acting as though this is like the coolest thing ever, you ain't really in it, right? Just like people are quick to, again, assess what should happen to these individuals. If you've ever had a family member that's actually been in the penal system, you don't wish jail on anybody.
No.
Because that's a deterioration of not only the physical, but there's a mind thing that goes on too. Sure. And then there's layers as far as like the effects on the family. So what I'm saying is that, like, and this is not coming at you, this is just a counter argument, right? Yeah. It's not that easy to turn that stuff off because these guys, again, have built an image and a name behind something. There's perhaps tension that extends from that. They may have every good intention in the world of wanting to do something different. Right. But there's still that element though.
But like, you have resources. Like, it's not like
to do what?
To move differently.
To be a more menacing or more
potentially
bigger version of yourself. I don't think it changed. They say money doesn't change you, right? It just
that's not true.
Enhances who you are. If I'm an asshole broke, I'm gonna be a broke or an asshole billionaire. Like, I'm not gonna unfunny just because I got $1 million in the bank. Yeah,
but I guess like
I can't unthug if if I got $1 million in the bank.
I mean,
I'm
we
still
just talked
a
about
thug.
Jay-Z in his transition. Like,
I think Jay-Z still got that
At
in
what
him.
level do you like elevate yourself,
Yeah,
right?
what's
So
the end
if
goal?
I start
don't know.
here and I get to this level, I have to
Exactly.
move
But
differently.
in
I
fairness-
can't move the same way.
But in fairness, right, we can, because I like having these conversations. The difference being, I think, right, Jay-Z's mantra or image was built off hustling. Transitioning from a hustler to a corporate situation,
That transitions well.
that's a little smoother.
Okay.
That's a little more in line with getting out and doing it cleanly.
Versus
Right.
like what the charges suggest, gangbanging,
Right,
murder, and
right.
stuff like that.
Right, exactly.
I also think,
Yeah.
no, I kind of agree with that. I think like bringing all of y'all points that y'all have made throughout this conversation together, right? Like the whole duality thing. You've been asking this question on many people, on Kevin Samuels, and Thug in their situation. Like when does it end, right? But I think time is the biggest indicator of that, right? I don't know if Thug he might have been moving away from that, because some of these charges are from like 2015, right?
Yeah.
That's 7 years ago.
Right.
So
Yeah, because
right,
they've been building the
Lil Weezy,
case.
but-
he might have very well been in it then, you know what I mean? And he might have been I could have been killing 6 people a year. And now
You're down to 2.
7 years. I mean, but that's growth, right? And then, but the thing is, with Kevin Samuels, we didn't get to see him transition away from
That's what I say, time.
woman bashing. With Nipsey, for instance, right? We saw his transition from like the cold-blooded Crip thug to like, oh nah, like he's actually he's building businesses. But part of that, to wrap it all up, is like, especially in the case of Nipsey, and now potentially in this case, even if I'm leaving that, nah, we need you. Like, that hood gonna pull you back. It's always going, nah, we want you back here with us. And unfortunately, that's how it happens, right?
You said something interesting, because I did, again, once I heard about what was going on, obviously the stories around it started popping up. Apparently, and again, I didn't do a deep dive on it, but apparently there was a situation in which an individual was a murderer, and the authorities were aware, and he ended up killing 50 people, or being a part of the demise of 50 people before they actually made the case.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, so it's just, again, it's interesting, like how these cases are built and what in your head logically has to happen for them to be built. They literally have to sit back and
watch this stuff happen to build
okay,
a
I
case
see what you're
against
saying.
you. I mean,
Right,
because
right,
even with these type of charges, you got one thing, one leg fall out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have that. And I'm not saying that those minimizing anyone's death at all.
right.
But for the type of charges that they're bringing, because I seen people say, well, y'all waited for this many people to die.
Okay.
Why is one person not enough?
Well, yeah, but
Right?
I hear y'all. Yeah, and I think what people aren't realizing is, like, again, I just said somebody told, like, potentially, right? Someone had to tell for these details to get out. So those could have been, I don't know if they were actively watching the murders, right? It could have been, because we all know, like, police don't really like stop crime.
Right.
They just find out what happened and jot it down a lot of the times, right? So, in few instances, obviously they stop it before it happens, but oftentimes, like, the crime has to happen before them intervening.
But
so,
I also think too with RICO cases too is what takes precedence, and they're gonna go after the charges that's gonna stick harder.
yeah,
The murder's gonna obviously give you more time than car theft.
Right.
yeah, I see what you're saying.
So
right,
but car theft can be a charge though. But they're gonna try to stick you for the murder. They're gonna stick you
that's
for the money laundering. They're gonna stick you for the joints that will give you more time.
that's a long out.
So yeah.
So transitioning out, right? Obviously the NBA playoffs are going on. There's been
My Sixers going to the chip.
there's been I think I got a button for that.
are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Man in Iron Mask.
So again, the conversation around NBA players and, are they just athletes, et cetera, et cetera. Loose tie, but so when the Chris Rock, Will Smith situation happened, I originally thought, like, man, this is a bad omen, just because it just kind of gives people like a weird energy that somehow or another, take the people out of it. The act is okay, meaning I can just arbitrarily approach someone no matter the setting, because you would just assume the Oscars, there's no way that someone could walk on stage and make contact, right?
Whatever that was, they can't. You can't do that.
So then shortly thereafter, we had the incident with Mike Tyson, where a fan got very belligerent with Mike Tyson, who we all know is still at his age a machine at this point. Got them hands, right?
He dog walked him.
Then recently we saw Dave Chappelle have an incident in which he got tackled on stage.
Dog walk.
We saw
his face is still messed up.
Yeah, he looked like the cat off Martin.
Mm-hmm. With the knots.
With the knots, he looked like literally. He looked just like that.
Absolutely.
So recently at one of these NBA playoff games, Phoenix Suns in Dallas, Chris Paul, most notably, right? What's the story? Because I heard about it, but I don't know the full story.
So apparently during the game, his mom and sister or his family was at the game. Okay. It might have been his mom and his wife, right, and his children there. They're at the game. One of the Dallas fans kept repeatedly tapping Chris Paul's mom, saying
physically
touching her, saying "Happy Mother's Day."
Okay.
She said,
that's not okay. But
this is her account of the story. She was saying that the fan was visibly drunk. Mm-hmm. He repeatedly, touched her, said Happy Mother's Day. She asked him to stop. He, continued. It went so far as this, at one point, another family member went to get security and to ask the bar to basically cut these guys off from drinking because, they were obviously belligerent. And then from there, I think that's where everyone else sees, like, the video and the footage online is showing like Chris Paul being held back, yelling at the fans. Security did come and escort them out, apparently. But it's almost, and then ultimately what happened is that the fans got banned until 2023.
That's it?
Which we all know all that means is until next season.
So there's a chance that these were like season ticket holders.
Potentially, right? Because
for the proximity of where they were sitting, they definitely have some clout.
So the crime or the act doesn't necessarily fit whatever the punishment, in this regard.
And considering that they might be eliminated here shortly.
Yeah, it's like it's a little frustrating, right? Because I think based on the history of the NBA and what we've seen, and and all these situations that you're naming, right? The celebrity or the person with the most notoriety typically gets like scrutinized, right? Like Chris Paul
for the response,
right? The response, right? Chris Paul could have very well like jumped into the stands, beat the dog shit out of both of these people,
and it would have been over for him.
And the story would have been, he gets fined, he gets suspended rather. Excuse me. He's a thug.
Hold on, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Now, so when you fumble over a word, the word was suspended. You said expended. Right. You get, what did you say?
I say excuse me.
You get to say excuse me, but I fumble.
Dave Chappelle.
You said it multiple
you said
times,
Chappelle
like
1,000 times,
and then
bro.
you had just like came for somebody for not being able to pronounce.
Why are you so frustrated? Because why'd you cut her mic? Yo, you vicious dog.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so he was what I say? Expended.
I don't hear you.
Expended.
I don't hear you. They don't hear you. Keep going.
I got you, Buck. That's wow.
Appreciate you. That's sexist. Last week it was racism. This week is sexism.
So on a serious note, like, so why do you hate black women?
And I think like I should interview you.
Why don't you support them? Why don't you protect them? Why would you minimize her voice? Let's talk about it.
Literally.
Let's talk about it. In a moment where I was talking about a black woman getting attacked,
he silenced one.
Ooh. Reclaim your time, Queen.
That was good. So for everyone that enjoys hearing her voice, let's give it up for her last time appearance.
Oh, wow.
out of
So
control.
my brother, yet again. So not only did you silence her voice, you minimize her presence here.
Right.
He fired me.
Now we have another queen unemployed. Is that what I'm
No.
hearing?
So actually, what I'm doing is I'm providing her an opportunity to have her own platform. I'm actually.
Wow.
like
That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Will you come on my live?
Yeah.
You gonna come on?
I'll be a
y'all
guest.
should talk about
Okay. I'm sorry.
The views of Lee are not the views of 3ThePodWay.
No, but so one of my thoughts was so as far as the family being in the crowd, I did think about that, right? Because I've seen this in various settings and various games where the family members are literally embedded in the crowd.
Right.
These are very hostile environments. The question could be asked, why would you put your family, or not put, why would you allow the family to sit in such a, again, tense situation?
This ain't their first rodeo.
That sounds risky.
Ain't their first rodeo. They've been in AAU games. AAU
Okay,
games be
right.
intense.
And hostile is such a hostile word. Like
What?
NBA arenas that's not hostile, bro.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
You know what I'm
Let's say
saying?
it
Like
shouldn't be.
No, listen. So we've all
that's
been,
not hostile. So, some parts of North Philly are hostile, right? Like Compton, what we hear is hostile, right?
Alabama.
Like, Slauson Boulevard is
Philadelphia.
hostile. Man, that's a beautiful place. But like an NBA arena where you potentially paying hundreds of dollars to sit courtside,
Those are expensive seats.
that shouldn't be
but
considered hostile.
but we've
or it
all
shouldn't be
been
in a hostile
we've all
environment.
been in, like, let's call them like the high pressure games.
Yeah.
And we've all been sitting back as fans, and within our
Makes sense.
proximity,
Yeah.
we've seen or heard that guy or that group.
Yeah.
We're like, man, y'all taking this way
Way
too
too
far.
serious.
Especially when it's like a out of town type situation. Philly and Dallas.
Whoa,
right?
whoa, come on, bro.
No, Philly and Dallas. Come on, man. You speak to that. What is it like in those Philly? No,
It's friendly.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I see passion.
Now it's passion.
Michael Irvin.
Words matter.
Michael Irvin.
Words matter.
Michael Irvin took a tombstone pile driver on concrete. This is back in vet. What was
All right.
the vet, right?
Yeah, I don't understand what you're trying to say.
Carried
bro.
out on a stretcher.
Okay,
Philly
he was
fans,
tired. He was tired.
Philly fans.
He said he was
We
tired.
threw a
Gave-
snowball
gave-
at Santa Claus. Okay, so what? We had a jail in the stadium, and we were forward thinking. What are you trying to say, dog?
You were ahead of your time.
Yeah.
But again, man, these situations do happen.
It's
and
frustrating,
so
though.
why would you have your family
don't-
remotely in the line of fire on
I
them?
They
just
should
don't
be able to enjoy the game.
exactly.
I
right.
shouldn't have to deal with that.
I shouldn't have to adjust my life for these stupid mods.
Yeah,
You
and
you shouldn't have to lock your car doors
But you do.
with your car being parked
not
in your
the same
driveway.
thing.
It's
not
not.
the same.
No,
How is it not?
no, it's not.
How is it not?
I don't. I'm
Because
looking for somebody to steal my car.
What's that?
I said I don't lock my car. I want somebody to steal my joint. 2012 Chevy Impala. Take it, please.
Hey, for
I
the
need-
record,
I
for
need
the
the
record,
insurance money.
For the
Take
record, okay, for the record,
Please.
for
It
the
won't
record,
get you far, but it'll get me a couple dollars.
for
Please
the
take it.
record, please do not call me as a character witness in this.
Oh shit, that's fraud, right?
I don't know what it is.
We are not part
here.
of this RICO.
Hey, the RICO charge.
They don't
y'all
know
not-
what we
oh,
look. They don't know
so
nah,
they don't
I'm
look.
not
They
here.
don't know what we look
wait,
like.
so
no
you
more.
was gonna have me hold? So y'all was gonna let me hold somebody's pockets, but y'all won't go to jail with me for this?
You were right. You already said it.
Pockets.
I ain't
I'm not going to
with
jail
you.
with you for anything. I don't want you thinking there's a list.
So
I don't
you-
want you
so
thinking
you a
like
snitch too?
I don't want you thinking.
Snitch bros.
Wow.
Snitchies.
I don't want you
That's
thinking
what type
that.
of show this is.
I don't want you thinking
Tattleys.
that these
I
are
don't know, maybe.
these are the approved crimes.
Tattletale.
I don't want you thinking that. All right, so
But yeah, just to wrap that up,
Yeah.
like I just think it's unfortunate that that's something that you have to, account for, right? Unfortunately, I think you're right. There are some risks, associated with that in a hostile environment. But again, it's like I shouldn't have to adjust my life for y'all stupidity.
People need to learn.
Or you
how
should
to
be
act.
aware that that's a
Or I
possibility.
could run these hands.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
why we, you know what I'm saying? Why do you feel like, I don't know. I just think the whole energy around celebrities and how people act and get out of character behind them is ridiculous.
Right.
Like, you need a life.
right.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Don't disagree. Let's give it up for that. So this is the point of the show where we normally take time to. This is the part of the show where we normally take time to talk through new music, and we normally talk about the previous weeks, etc.
Right.
We've been walking down this path for 2 weeks. Albums have been moved. Release dates have been moved. We have not heard of a release date after said individual either. Why? Because this individual commands the room. And what do I mean by the room? The culture's attention. The world literally stopped the other night when a video dropped in which one King Kendrick.
I thought King Push was king. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, here we go.
No. I'm sorry. I won't interrupt.
We're all kings. Let's give it up for that.
Like what type of king? Like on a scale.
So King Southside Lee, Burger King. I didn't have to do that.
On
That
a
was
scale.
unnecessary.
On a scale.
That was
Where's he at? Where
King
that was
Trash.
unnecessary.
He tipping towards-
He said King Trash.
Continue. Do your thing.
King Petty.
I'm a Herb in this so that we.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
So-
loading my clip right now.
Relax. We're still Facebook friends.
No.
No. All right. So So King Kendrick
Y'all
dropped.
be on Facebook? I'm sorry. My bad.
So he dropped a visual for the Heart Part 5. And for anybody who follows Kendrick, the Heart songs normally don't make it to the album. These are normally the precursor and just kind of the attention grabber, if you will.
Teasers.
So the biggest takeaway from this particular song is that he morphed into a number of individuals within the actual song itself.
Oh yeah, that was
Right.
dope.
So name some of the people that he morphed into.
Kanye,
OJ.
OJ,
King OJ. Oh, he not a king?
Juice Man.
He didn't do nothing to y'all?
Yeah, that's me.
He ain't do nothing to y'all. Y'all was just celebrating him not too long ago.
I was not.
All right, Arenthal
All right.
James.
I ain't even because Kanye. What I say?
Right, you said Kanye,
OJ,
Will Smith.
Right.
And we did another one.
Kobe
Nipsey,
Bryant.
Nipsey and Kobe.
Right. So most notably was the I would say probably was the Will Smith morph because of saying and part of what we discussed earlier was again hurt people hurt more people.
Right,
and that's when he was actually wearing the Will Smith face, if you will, right? What were your thoughts? What did you take from that actual
the video?
Yeah, the video.
The visuals.
Well, okay, if we talk about the Will Smith part, because I think that part was like huge because I know before I've stated like when people were talking about the incident that happened with Will, and I said I don't think it was just that night. I think it's built up anger and aggression and his feelings about how things have been going, and that was just kind of like. It may seem small to us, but that was his trigger. And I think it's true. I think when people are hurt and when they are going through things and they don't know how to deal with them, they turn around and they do hurt people. I just think that was that's interesting. How he did that was I like that.
So me personally being a fan of Nipsey Hussle and we've talked about it before, right?
Yeah.
Seeing how he actually put on the face of Nipsey and spoke from Nipsey's perspective as to what actually happened to him regarding his demise and how it was viewed. In essence, saying that though you did this to me, my work here was done. My creator was pleased. Again, man, words matter. Like the way that he articulated that. Again, if you're a fan of Nipsey, if you're a fan of Kendrick, that spoke to you in a much different manner than anything surface level.
For sure.
Which leads me to say, the anticipation for this album, I think, is. You asked the question. What's the question you posed as far as like the anticipation for this particular
is this
album?
The most anticipated album of the decade? Right? Was that the one?
I mean, we're early on.
Right.
We're early on,
I mean, but I was intentional about that, right? Like, cause shit. I mean, who else? Right.
And I think, and I'll make a personal argument, right? When people discuss the difference between LeBron and Mike. Drake and Kendrick. The difference being who can make the world stop.
Right, absolutely.
Kendrick,
he's going to do that.
He makes the world stop in a different. people stop and pay attention to Drake, right, to see what it is, Kendrick literally makes you stop and consume the art,
For sure.
right, and make you introspective about other things that may not even include necessarily the album, right, because the album has ties to things that are social, cultural, etc. That's what I think the difference is.
He's a more conscious
More
rapper.
like quality over quantity.
Right.
He's a more conscious rapper than Drake. Drake got bars. Don't get me wrong. He got bars. He can drop some knowledge in it, but Kanye, I'm not Kanye. Kendrick, he's more conscious. Like, and he's, you know, I think Earl said it before that he was gone for like 2 years without no media connections,
that's
like
what
no
he
cell
said,
phones
right,
or nothing like that. So you can already tell like his level of thinking is on a different platform. He almost like a J. Cole type. You know, he's more introspective, like you said. Like, so
Almost like.
and being conscious alone is not enough. He'll still bar you to death.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's still probably I've seen him live, probably one of the best live performers, right? And again,
Black people, they always do that.
Sorry.
Gumbo good.
Ooh.
Go ahead.
Yes, with some saltines.
It's going to be a 20-minute classic.
so Mr. Morale, the Big Steppers,
20-minute
drops officially.
classic. 20 minutes after 12. Social media is going to light up.
For sure.
Everybody's going to be
100%.
saying it's a classic. Everybody's
100%.
album review is going to be done without even having time to consume the whole project.
Right.
You think it's
right.
gonna be an instant classic?
No, I'm telling you what.
He's saying
I
social media is
yeah,
gonna make.
I
it.
don't have an opinion on it.
Yeah, I'm nervous.
I'd like to
You nervous about
digest it.
What about it? That makes you nervous.
because
yeah.
one, he's been MIA for
That's his thing.
since
dog.
I think the last thing he dropped was the Black Panther soundtrack. I think
Yeah, I think that's
that
more-
was how long ago?
I like that.
And you're worried, but look at the track record.
man.
Hey, look,
You could argue
I could put that on right now.
I'm not about to put the cart before the horse.
Let me
That's
ask
all
you
I'm
this.
saying.
Let me ask
So
you
you're
this.
saying Jack Harlow is better than Kendrick
Relax,
Lamar?
relax,
All
dog.
right.
I'm asking.
All right.
No, I did not
All
say
right,
that.
so that wins
That's
where
it.
okay, let's get out of here.
First
One thing for
class
sure.
up in the sky. What if Jack Harlow's name was Quintarius? Would you like him better then?
I don't know anybody named by Quantavious Contarius.
You do know somebody named Quinn. No? Wow. That's how you, wow. The disrespect today, like, so, like, I'm non-existent. I'm silenced. And nobody acknowledges my children. What is this?
Hey,
what are we doing here? Like, what type of show are we running?
Carlisle, take us out.
Again,
Carlisle.
are we gonna do this now?
Go ahead.
One thing for sure.
Lee.
No,
You go.
two things.
You don't want to end the show.
Support black women.
Thank you, somebody.
Oh, you want me to say 3ThePodWay over black women? Wow. Support black women, dog.
Thank you.
It's 3ThePodWay.
Wow.
Quantavious.
We talk about my child. Being the like that bus
Him is
driver.
smart. Him is special.
Be waiting at your stop.
Him is mine.
Wow.